Hello and welcome to this Photoshop tutorial for beginners. In this tutorial we're going to deal with keyboard shortcuts and mouse controls, and I'm going to strip it right back to basics. So if you've been looking at Photoshop tutorials here on YouTube and you can't understand all the terminology, control, shift, click, drag, whatever they're saying, this video is going to simplify it for you, so don't go away. So the most basic move that you're going to make with your mouse is a left click or a right click. Very simply, all you're doing is clicking the left button on your mouse or the right button on your mouse. So easy. Another really simple thing that you might use on your mouse is the scroll wheel. You may not have a scroll wheel on your mouse, but if you do, you can do a lot of things with it in Photoshop. So you may hear me in my videos say scroll forward or backwards, or I may say scroll up or scroll down. Super simple. You can also click with your scroll wheel if your mouse does that, so that might be something that you might do as well. Another really common move you're going to do with your mouse in Photoshop is the click and drag. This is quite simply where you click and hold your left mouse button or your right mouse button and drag your mouse to the left, drag your mouse to the right, push it forward or bring it back. Sometimes I may say move your mouse up or move your mouse down instead of forward or back. I just wanted to pop in here and quickly let you know about a link down in the video description where you can sign up for my mailing list. If you do this, you will receive a free PDF with 50 common Adobe Photoshop keyboard shortcuts. These shortcuts are going to make life so much easier and make your workflow in Photoshop so much quicker. So all you've got to do is pop your name and email address in there, sign up. The PDF will come straight to your inbox and you'll be good to go. You'll also receive blog posts, updates, special deals, videos, and so much more. So the link is in the video description. Now for some basic keyboard commands. The most basic ones that you're going to use in Photoshop are Backspace and Escape. They both do different things in different circumstances, so we'll talk about that later, but just where to find them on your keyboard is pretty easy. Backspace says backspace, and the Escape key is up on the top left and it says ESC. So as I said, we'll look at what they do in a minute. The really common keys that you're going to use in Photoshop are what's called your modifier keys. A modifier key is one that modifies or changes the function of another key on the keyboard. Your modifier keys are Control, Shift, Alt, or Command and Option as well on a Mac. And we'll look at what they do in a moment. As I said, you're going to use these a lot of the time. Something that you're going to want to do a lot of the time is to zoom in or zoom out in your document. Now you can do this using either the scroll wheel on your mouse, and I'll show you how to set that up in a second, or you can also use your modifier key Control, that's Command on a Mac, and the plus and minus keys on your keyboard. So we'll look at the scroll wheel first. Obviously you can see here I've opened this image here of this house. Now, this image is available in the description of the video for you to download and follow along here if you like. So I can zoom in by pushing my scroll wheel forward. I can zoom out by pulling the scroll wheel back. If this is not working for you, then you go up here to the edit menu, click on that, that's left clicking. You go down to all the way to the bottom to preferences, up to general, click on that, left clicking, and then come to tools, and you can see here zoom with scroll wheel is selected. So you just click that little, you tick that little box there, and you can click OK, and then you'll be able to zoom in and out with your scroll wheel. Now to do the same thing with your Control modifier key, press and hold Control and click the plus key on your keyboard to zoom in, the minus key to zoom out. You can also press and hold your plus key and it will go in and out in increments there, as you can see. It's a little bit hard to watch, but it can make it easier to zoom in a lot or out a lot if you need to. So that's holding Control or Command on a Mac and using the plus and minus keys on your keyboard. Now, something you're going to want to do when you've zoomed right into your image is you're going to want to maybe look around inside of the image and move to a different part. So what you can do once you have zoomed in is click and hold your space bar, and you can see the cursor turns into a little hand there. And then you can just left click, hold it and drag in the direction that you want. Let go to stop at any point in the image. So you just see click and drag and you can move around inside of your image. Keep holding the space bar down the whole time. When you're finished, let go of the space bar and you'll get your selection tool back if you're using that, or whatever tool that you might be using. When you're zooming in, you are going to want to zoom out again quickly. One way that you can do this is a keyboard shortcut using the Control modifier key. So let's say we've zoomed right into this window here and we've done some things and we want to zoom back out to see our entire image. You can press Control or Command, hold it down, and then press 0 on your numeric keyboard or your keyboard, and it will zoom your image out to fit the view. So it fits inside of the view there in the Photoshop workspace. A very important thing that you're going to want to do in Photoshop is to undo things. You're going to make mistakes, got to undo them. So let's say, for example, I select this part of the image here and I right click with my mouse and I just blur that, for example, and then I go okay, and then I go no, didn't really want that. What you can do is hold your Control modifier key or Command on a Mac and hit the Z key, and that will undo that step. And if you want to undo the step before that, you just press Z again and then Z to undo back as far as you like. Another common action that you might want to perform in Photoshop is transforming things, so changing their size or their shape. Now this can be found in the Edit menu up here. So you click on Edit and you come down here to Free Transform. You can do it that way, but you can also see the keyboard shortcut here is Control T, so that's Command T on a Mac. So we will use the keyboard shortcut. So firstly, I'm going to bring another object into this document by pressing on File. I'm going to go all the way down to Place Embedded. I'm going to click on that, come over here and select this light bulb here. Let's say we wanted to put that up in the top right hand corner there. Now you can see this box that's around it here. This is the your transform controls, and you have these handles here on all four corners and all four sides, and you can left click and drag with your mouse to change the size of the image there. So you can see it holds the dimensions. Still remains square and just gets bigger or smaller. So you can do that if you like. Another way to transform it where it doesn't keep the dimensions is to use the Shift modifier key. So press and hold Shift, left click and drag with your mouse, and you can see we can stretch the light bulb out there. We can do that. If you don't want that, you can either do your Control Z or Command Z to undo that, or you can also, if we do that one more time, you can come up here to this little circle with the line through it that says Cancel Transform. Click that and that will cancel your transformation. Now that is also deleted my light bulb, so I'm going to Control Z. Why did it delete my light bulb? I have no idea. Let's put it back in. There we go. Okay, so we can also use the Shift click command to change the size of this from any of the corners. So if I Shift click from here, you can see I can drag that up and down as well as out, as well as in and out. If I let go of Shift, it'll just stay square. If I press Shift, I can then move it around anywhere I like. And you can see how I'm moving my mouse here to do these strange things to this light bulb. So that is Control or Command T for transforming, and then you can use Shift and drag, Shift, click and drag to transform it in any way you like. Now we're going to have a look at a few keyboard shortcuts that you can use when you're selecting objects in your document. So let's say we'll start using the quick selection tool, which is found over here in your tools panel, and it's the little brush there with the dotted circle there. So you just left click to select that, and you can hold to resize. We'll talk about resizing the tool itself first of all. So to do this, you hold Alt or Option on a Mac, and you right click and hold your right mouse button, and then you can drag your mouse to the left to make the tool smaller. You can drag it to the right to make it bigger. You can also drag it up to make the brush softer, and down to make it harder. And as you can see, that there is a very hard edge brush, which is what you want for the quick selection tool. So we'll hold Alt or Option again, right click, dragging to the left to make it a bit smaller, and I will left click to select this light bulb there. So that selected it straight away for me. That was really good. Except if we zoom in with our scroll wheel, we can see that it's missed a few bits in there just on the silver part of the light bulb there on the thread. So what we'll do is we want to add to our selection. We want to make those parts be a part of our selection as well. So what I'm going to do is switch to the lasso tool over here. So this is the one that looks like a lasso. So we left click on that to select it. You can also, there are keyboard shortcuts for these tools as well. As you can see here, it says the lasso tool is, the keyboard shortcut is L for the lasso tool. Sorry, I thought the zoom function would help to see that there, and it didn't. So the lasso tool shortcut is L. The quick selection tool shortcut is W. So L for lasso, W for quick selection tool. All right, so we've got our lasso tool here. And because we already have an active selection, in order to add to the selection, we need to press and hold Shift. And you can see that the cursor changes from the lasso and the arrow to having a little plus next to it. That means we're going to add to our selection. So what we then do is just drag around the outside of that bit that it missed, let go, and we've added that part to our selection. Let's say we didn't want this thread part of the light bulb in our selection at all. To subtract from our selection, we hold Alt or Option. You can see the little minus come up there next to your lasso tool. Just drag around where you want to and around the selection you want to take out, let go, and there you go, you've subtracted that part from your selection. So that is Shift, hold it down, left click, hold your left mouse button, drag it around the part you want to add to your selection. Or to subtract from your selection, hold Alt or Option, left click, hold it, and drag around. I'm going to roughly to subtract from your selection. So I'll show you how to intersect a selection. What this does is it gives you the area where an active selection and one that you make intersect or cross over. So we'll have a look at that now. And the way to do this with your keyboard shortcuts with your modifier keys is Alt Shift or Shift Alt. It doesn't matter which order you press them in. You can see next to the cursor there we have a little X. So if I left click, hold it, drag around there and let go, you can see it took out all that other selection up here and it only gave us the part where those two selections intersected. So I'll press Control or Command Z and undo that, and we'll do that one more time. So pressing and holding Alt and Shift, you can press them at the same time. You can press Alt first, then Shift. You can press Shift first and Alt, making sure you hold them down. Okay, so always with your modifier keys, press them and hold them down. So we're using Shift and Alt or Shift and Option if you're on a Mac. Left click, drag it around the area that you want to have remaining selected and let go of your mouse button, and you have an intersected selection. Now I'll just undo that last thing there by pressing Control or Command Z, and I'll zoom out a little bit with my scroll wheel. Press and hold the space bar, click and drag to get this in the center, and we'll zoom in a bit more. Let's say we've made a selection and it's completely wrong. We don't want that selection anymore. The way to deselect something is to press Control or Command and the D on your keyboard. So they can see that took our selection away. So that is Control or Command D to deselect. Now, if you ever forget any of these keyboard shortcuts, I'm going to show you where you can find them and the rest of the shortcuts as well. If you go up here to the window menu up the top, click on that, you'll see the second one down there is Workspace, and hovering over that brings out this extra drop down menu. If you see down here, second from the bottom, we have keyboard shortcuts and menus. Click on that one and this window will open up. Click on the keyboard shortcuts tab and here you have all your keyboard shortcuts. There's a little menu here. You can click this here and you can see you can select the keyboard shortcuts for application menus, panel menus, tools, or task spaces. So if we click on application menus here, you will see there's little drop down menus here. So you can see in your edit menu, you have undo, Control Z, we've covered that one in this video today. Cut is Control X. So all of these keyboard shortcuts are in here and you just click to find all the ones that you want. So that's a really handy little resource there to use. So remember that was on the window menu, Workspace, keyboard shortcuts and menus, and make sure that you click on the keyboard shortcuts tab. Alright, I'll talk a little bit about the uses of Backspace and Escape here for you because I promised to do that earlier. Now, if we're using, for example, the polygonal lasso tool, which is over here within the lasso tool icon there, you can left click and hold that and it will pop out this menu here, and then you can select your polygonal lasso tool there by left clicking. So if I zoom in using my scroll wheel, let's say, now with the polygonal lasso tool, if you haven't seen my video on how to use the polygonal lasso tool, I've linked that up in the top right hand corner of the video now, so you can go and have a look at that. You just click once at the starting point and then you can see we've got this line we can drag here anywhere we like. Drag it down to the bottom there, we'll say we're trying to select this gable here. We click there, we'll just roughly go down here, click there, click there. Let's say we did that and then we noticed that we'd missed these little bits that are jutting out here on the gable. So what we can do is press the backspace key. You can see that took it back to the previous point where we clicked, and then backspace will take it back to the previous spot we clicked as well, and we can click there, click there, click there and select those bits that we missed. And if we want to undo the entire selection or go right back to the start, we just press Escape and that will cancel the selection and we can start again. Now if we're using the quick selection tool, we can, I'll just hold Alt or Option here and right click and drag to resize it. When you're, just a quick tip here, when you're using the quick selection tool, make sure that you always have a 100% hardness on your tool there, because you don't want a soft one. It'll give you a very soft selection and the tool will behave really weirdly and you'll be wondering what the heck is going on. So let's say we've used the quick selection tool here and we've just selected this top part of the building here. If I just, another quick tip here that I haven't mentioned about using the quick selection tool, if you want to subtract from your selection, hold Alt or Option, keep it held down, left click, drag over the area that you don't want selected and let go, and it will deselect those areas. So I'm just roughly selected this top area of the building here. Now if you hit backspace, that will delete that from your image. So now what we're seeing is the background, because our background here, as you can see, is white. So be very careful with using backspace. If you want to cut something out, that's a great way, or delete something, that's a great way of doing it. I'll press Control or Command Z to undo that, Control D to deselect. So you can use that. Escape doesn't work with the quick selection tool. If I select something here and I press Escape, you can see nothing is happening. So Escape doesn't work with the quick selection tool, but Backspace does. So if there are any other Photoshop keyboard shortcuts or controls that you're still a bit confused about, please leave me a comment down below and ask me a question about anything you want. I'll try and get to your questions as soon as I can, and maybe I might even do a video about it in the future. Also, down in the video description there is a link to where you can sign up to my email list. Just pop your name and email address in there and you will receive a free PDF with 50 Photoshop keyboard shortcuts that are going to make your life so much easier. So check that out. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please hit subscribe and ding the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos from me. Until next time, I'm Barry Callister of Barry Callister Photography and Photographer's Freedom. Get out there, take some wicked shots. I'll see you soon.